It's 5:45 a.m. My first meeting is at 6 a.m. I'm gonna do a little light makeup for my Zoom call while I tell you how I learned to be very likable in the corporate space while also not being taken advantage of. Number one, I'm very kind and respectful to everybody, even if you're rude. But if someone is disrespectful and crosses that line, I'm not afraid to voice my opinion. For example, I had a boss yell at me in front of a small group of people for work that they felt should have been done in a shorter period of time and to the quality or standard of their liking. Mind you, this boss was yelling at me. I wasn't the only person working on it. So my response to them, in a very straight face, I'm unable to respond given the tone of the conversation. I feel like we should take a minute before this conversation proceeds. Stern face. Their response to how I reacted to their behavior was, oh, no, I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying you need to work a little harder and do X, Y, Z. Mind you, all of us were working like 70 hours a week on this specific project. So nobody was interested in hearing what our boss had to say at the time. This boss had a history of breaking people down and making them feel very small so that they could take advantage of them and make them do more work or make them feel like you're inadequate, and because you're inadequate, you have to rise to this level. I was not having any of that. I never actually put the pieces together until just now, but from that interaction, my boss got me a different boss. So they brought somebody else onto the team a week later. I ended up reporting to them, and I'm still really good friends with that person. Just a bit of primer. Number two, I humor people in corporate. I think this makes you seem a lot more approachable. Like if people are telling jokes, I'll always humor their jokes, even if I don't think it's funny. The only time I don't humor people's jokes is if they cross the line and they get rude. I don't know what it is about people making jokes about like, oh, you changing your hair or how you dress or just weird, corny comments. Those are things that I'm not gonna humor or entertain. So the third thing I was gonna say is I'm stoic but soft. So generally, my facial expressions at work or in meetings, if no one's talking to me or engaging with me and I'm just listening and actually focusing on the subject matter that's being discussed, this is my face. If somebody engages with me, of course, I soften up and I'm like, oh yes, of course, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Same as if someone's telling a joke, I'm like, oh wow, ha ha ha, that was really funny. But if someone tells a joke and I don't think it's funny, I think it's offensive. People think when they can play in your face, you're easy to take advantage of. So that's why I don't let people go too far with some of these jokes that they love to tell in corporate. Moving on to number four. Very clear and direct with my communication. I'm not afraid to state my positioning or my opinion. Doesn't matter who I'm talking to. It could be the CEO, a vice president. If you're a little bit more timid and shy in sharing your opinion, because it could be a very great idea, people are going to think you're too kind and that, I don't want to say you don't have a backbone, but you don't have a backbone, so you could easily be taken advantage of, whether that's fiscally or them giving you more work to do because you feel the need to constantly prove yourself. People who are confident in the workplace are not afraid to state their opinion. Number five, I don't get too emotional when it comes to constructive criticism or criticism of any kind. Your ability to control your emotions says a lot about you as a person. If you are too emotional, people will also think you can be taken advantage of. Bronzer. Number six, and this is probably the most important, I do my job very well. When I do my job well, and I showcase that I know I'm doing a good job and that I am good at my job, people are less likely to try and take advantage of me or be rude or anything like that because they know, what the heck? They know, I know I'm doing a good job, and if I'm treated unfairly, I can just take my skill set elsewhere. Number seven, I create clear boundaries. I don't give people from work my personal cell phone number. When I didn't have a work phone, I just wouldn't respond to people's text messages between certain hours. I also put boundaries when it comes to talking about my personal life. Last thing on this list of things that I do is I do ask people about their personal life. I engage with them. I ask them, what are you doing this weekend? Or I'll ask them, how was your weekend? How was your kids? People do like when you inquire about their life. I just don't share too much information. Like I just got engaged, so I did tell some of the people that I'm working with, oh yes, I got engaged. I told them a month later, and I haven't given any real details. I haven't said where my wedding's gonna be. They don't even know my fiance's name. So I keep that part of my life pretty private just because I don't feel the need to share that information. I also keep my social media very private.